Live from Washington, D.C., Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. And now, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow.
Welcome to the broadcast, everyone, and this is a very unique broadcast. I'm going to take you back to the date when President of the United States, Donald Trump, nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States, Neil Gorsuch. We were live on the air. We've appeared before Judge Gorsuch in cases. We know his judicial record, but I'm going to take you back to our studio as the news was breaking and we were giving live analysis. We're going to take you to that moment right now. Welcome to the broadcast, everyone, and we've got breaking news. The President of the United States is going to nominate in just moments Judge Neil Gorsuch from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit as the replacement for the late Justice Antonin Scalia. Judge Gorsuch is a graduate of Columbia University, Harvard Law School, and has a Ph.D. in Oxford. We're going to give you analysis tonight that's going to be different than you're going to get anyplace else because, unlike most of the people talking about this, we have appeared before Judge Gorsuch at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit, a case involving the display of the Ten Commandments. That particular case, he was joining a dissent in our favor. It was a display of the Ten Commandments in Utah. That case, although he was the dissent in our favor, obviously we lost at the 10th Circuit, we ended up winning the case unanimously at the United States Supreme Court, 9-0 on a Ten Commandments case. Judge Gorsuch is an originalist. He is a textualist. He certainly, Jordan, fits the mold of Justice Antonin Scalia, and as Harry Hutchinson will point out, is also quite a writer. So this is I think, look, it's about to be publicly announced.
Sure.
We got word of this just a little bit ago, but this is a very big announcement. It is not a net plus in one sense because it is replacing Justice Scalia, but very important that you have the seat replaced.
As I explained on Fox Business this afternoon, this kind of keeps the court in a status quo.
Right.
Instead of letting Merrick Garland through that late Supreme Court nominee by President Obama, which would have shifted the court to the left, this keeps the court center right. And it will really be that next nominee which will determine if the court goes totally right. And I think that President Trump will probably have that opportunity.
Maybe this summer.
But to tell people just about Neil Gorsuch, I mean, this is someone who's defended the Ten Commandments being displayed in government property.
Gone after Planned Parenthood.
Has supported the defunding of Planned Parenthood. So obviously if that case makes it to the U.S. Supreme Court, if he agreed with it at a state level, you can imagine he'd agree with it at a federal level. Yep. He's spoken out about euthanasia and life. He, again, unbelievable credentials. He got involved in the Hobby Lobby and Little Sisters of the Poor cases.
Decided
so the
both of those
Obamacare, contraception, and remember, those were also, people say he doesn't have an abortion record. Those were abortifacients. They also wanted to require abortifacients. He said, no, that's unconstitutional. So he has been on the right side of all the cases we've been concerned about at the ACLJ.
All right, so Facebook and Periscope, let me encourage you to do something right now, and that is share this with your friends, or if you're watching on aclj.org, let your friends know as well. We are going to go live to the White House as soon as the president makes the announcement, but we're giving you analysis first. Again, if you're just joining us, the President of the United States nominating Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court of the United States to take the seat of Justice Scalia. I want to put up on the screen for everybody on Facebook a shot of me arguing a case, and I want to point out what this case was. This was another Ten Commandment case. This was the very case that Judge Gorsuch joined the dissent written by Judge McConnell in our favor. So this is not hypothetical. This was a Ten Commandment case. In this picture, you actually can see it. Judge McConnell is in there in the back part of the chambers. I don't know if we have a close-up on that. Probably not. But that is what it's like in the Supreme Court of the United States. So this is not a possible case. This is a real case. Harry Hutchinson's our director of public policy at the ACLJ. He was also a distinguished law professor at Regent University and formerly at George Mason University. Harry has done a deep dive into Judge Gorsuch's background. A lot of people are asking about the writing style of Judge Gorsuch. Does it match that of Justice Scalia?
I think it's better. I think Judge Gorsuch is crisp and clear, crystal clear. I also think that he has a deep background in natural law based on his studies at the University of Oxford with John Fennis. a world-renowned philosopher.
Yeah.
And so I think this is an excellent choice.
Yeah. I will tell you this. That Ten Commandments case we had that was before Judge Gorsuch, it was before the entire 10th Circuit, it was tied 5-5. But again, Judge Gorsuch joined the opinion of Judge McConnell in our favor. That served as the basis upon which I took the case to the Supreme Court. As I said, we won unanimously. So we're not giving you some hypothetical discussion about what a judge might or might not do. This is a judge we've appeared before. We're going to go back to the studios in just a moment, but we want to let you know the fight for this conservative constitutionalist is going to be intense. It is intense in Washington, D.C., and we need your help. We've got a petition up at aclj.org demanding a hearing and a vote on the nomination of Judge Gorsuch to the U.S. Supreme Court to take the seat of Justice Scalia. Go to aclj.org to sign the petition there, aclj.org, or you can add your name right now at 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255 or aclj.org. Let's get this nominee confirmed immediately. aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255.
President Trump has fulfilled an important campaign promise to appoint a conservative nominee to the Supreme Court in the mold of the late Justice Antonin Scalia. President Trump has kept his promise by naming Judge Neil Gorsuch of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit to replace Justice Scalia. Judge Gorsuch is immensely qualified. He has a proven constitutional conservative record, but the left has begun a scorched earth campaign to defeat him. They don't want a proven conservative on the court. They will stop at nothing. The American Center for Law and Justice is mobilizing on Capitol Hill, demanding Judge Gorsuch's immediate confirmation. Stand with us in this critical fight. Sign on to our petition to confirm Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255 or add your name online, aclj.org.
Welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. We're taking you back to the studio the very moment that President of the United States, Donald Trump, announced Neil Gorsuch to be the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Here comes the President of the United States. We're going to go to the audio of that so you can hear it, and then we'll be playing some video so you can see what's going on. Here we go.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. When Justice Scalia passed away suddenly last February, I made a promise to the American people. If I were elected president, I would find the very best judge in the country for the Supreme Court. I promised to select someone who respects our laws and is representative of our Constitution and who loves our Constitution, and someone who will interpret them as written. This may be the most transparent judicial selection process in history. Months ago, as a candidate, I publicly presented a list of brilliant and accomplished people to the American electorate and pledged to make my choice from among that list. Millions of voters said this was the single most important issue to them when they voted for me for president. I am a man of my word. I will do as I say, something that the American people have been asking for from Washington for a very, very long time. Today, thank you. Today, I am keeping another promise to the American people by nominating Judge Neil Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court to be of the United States Supreme Court. And I would like to ask Judge Gorsuch and his wonderful wife, Louise, to please step forward. Please, Louise, Judge. Here they come. Here they come. I have always felt that after the defense of our nation, the most important decision a president of the United States can make is the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. depending on their age, a justice can be active for 50 years, and his or her decisions can last a century or more and can often be permanent. I took the task of this nomination very seriously. I have selected an individual whose qualities define, really, and I mean closely define, what we're looking for. Judge Gorsuch has outstanding legal skills, a brilliant mind, tremendous discipline, and has earned bipartisan support. When he was nominated to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, he was confirmed by the Senate unanimously. Not only are we looking at the writings of the nominee, and I studied them closely, but he is said to be among the finest and most brilliant, oftentimes, the writings of any judge for a long, long time. And his academic credentials, something very important to me, and that education has always been a priority, are as good as I have ever seen. He received his undergraduate degree from Columbia with honors. He then received his law degree from Harvard, also with honors, where he was a Truman Scholar. After Harvard, he received his doctorate at Oxford, where he attended as a Marshall Scholar, one of the top academic honors anywhere in the world. After law school, he clerked on the Supreme Court for both Justices Byron White and Anthony Kennedy. It is an extraordinary resume, as good as it gets. Judge Gorsuch was born and raised in Colorado and was taught the value of independence, hard work, and public service. While in law school, he demonstrated a commitment to helping the less fortunate. He worked in both Harvard Prison Legal Assistance Projects and Harvard Defenders Program. Brilliance being assured, I studied every aspect of his life. He could have had any job at any law firm for any amount of money. But what he wanted to do with his career was to be a judge, to write decisions, and to make an impact.
All right, we'll go back to this when Judge Gorsuch speaks. I don't expect much from Judge Gorsuch, but it is now official. We broke it to you early. Judge Neil Gorsuch from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit is now the Supreme Court nominee to take the seat of Justice Scalia. Maureen Scalia was in the audience. You know, I've had the privilege of appearing before Justice Scalia for 3 decades. 3 decades. The 80s, the 90s, and 2000s. Judge Gorsuch is clearly in that mold. Let's go now to Judge Gorsuch. He's speaking.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, you and your team have shown me great courtesy in this process. And you've entrusted me with a most solemn assignment. Standing here in a house of history and acutely aware of my own imperfections, I pledge that if I am confirmed, I will do all my powers permit to be a faithful servant of the Constitution and laws of this great country. For the last decade, I've worked as a federal judge in a court that spans 6 western states, serving about 20% of the continental United States and about 18 million people. The men and women I've worked with at every level in our circuit are an inspiration to me. I've watched them fearlessly tending to the rule of law, enforcing the promises of our Constitution, and living out daily their judicial oaths to administer justice equally to rich and poor alike, following the law as they find it and without respect to their personal political beliefs. I think of them tonight. Of course, the Supreme Court's work is vital not just to a region of the country, but to the whole, vital to the protection of the people's liberties under law and to the continuity of our Constitution, the greatest charter of human liberty the world has ever known. The towering judges that have served in this particular seat of the Supreme Court, including Antonin Scalia and Robert Jackson, are much in my mind at this moment. Justice Scalia was a lion of the law. Agree or disagree with him, all of his colleagues on the bench cherish his wisdom and his humor. And like them, I miss him. I began my legal career working for Byron White, the last Coloradan to serve on the Supreme Court, and the only justice to lead the NFL in rushing. He was one of the smartest and most courageous men I've ever known. When Justice White retired, he gave me the chance to work for Justice Kennedy as well. Justice Kennedy was incredibly welcoming and gracious. And like Justice White, he taught me so much. I am forever grateful. And if you've ever met Judge David Sentell, you'll know just how lucky I was to land a clerkship with him right out of school. Thank you. These judges brought me up in the law. Truly, I would not be here without them. Today is as much their day as it is mine. In the balance of my professional life, I've had the privilege of working as a practicing lawyer and teacher. I've enjoyed wonderful colleagues whose support means so much to me at this moment, as it has year in and year out. Practicing in the trial work trenches of the law, I saw too that when we judges don our robes, it doesn't make us any smarter, but it does serve as a reminder of what's expected of us. Impartiality and independence, collegiality and courage. As this process now moves to the Senate, I look forward to speaking with members from both sides of the aisle, to answering their questions and to hearing their concerns. I consider the United States Senate the greatest deliberative body in the world, and I respect the important role the Constitution affords it in the confirmation of our judges. I respect, too, the fact that in our legal order, it is for Congress and not the courts to write new laws. It is the role of judges to apply, not alter, the work of the people's representatives. A judge who likes every outcome he reaches is very likely a bad judge, stretching for results he prefers rather than those the law demands. I am so thankful tonight for my family, my friends, and my faith. These are the things that keep me grounded at life's peaks and that sustain me in its valleys. To Louise, my incredible wife and companion of 20 years, my cherished daughters who are watching on TV, and all my family and friends, I cannot thank you enough for your love and for your prayers. I could not attempt this without you. Mr. President, I am honored and I am humbled. Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. Neil Gorsuch, the nominee to the Supreme Court of the United States, gives an eloquent statement as to his judicial philosophy, saying he is not going to legislate from the bench. He knows the role of Congress is to write the laws. That's not his role. We're giving you analysis you're not getting anywhere else because we've appeared before Judge Gorsuch at the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. So this is not hypothetical for us. This is real. We've been there. We have had a good victory in front of him. He was the dissent. It was a tie en banc, which means 5 justices wanted to rehear the case, 5 did not. But that set up our case involving the 10 Commandments to the Supreme Court of the United States, where we won the case based on what Judge Gorsuch, Judge McConnell wrote, and our arguments. We won the case unanimously, 9-0. Now, Harry Hutchison, Director of Policy, you have read in depth these critical opinions, and a lot of people are just joining us. A lot are just joining us right now. Let me rattle off quickly here the cases that we've really looked at. These are the ones I know you're going to be concerned about. That is Little Sisters of the Poor. That was the case where the nuns were being forced to violate their conscience. He wrote a great opinion there. Hobby Lobby was the case, of course, that set up the Affordable Care Act case involving forced supporting of abortifacient. He wrote the right opinion there. Pleasant Grove, that case involved the 10 Commandments. That was our case. Planned Parenthood of Utah versus Herbert, that is a case involving the funding of Planned Parenthood. He was right there. American Atheist versus Davenport, the cross on the side of the road in honor of in that particular case, a state trooper. And he ruled the right way. Ultimately, the Supreme Court did too, by the way, on those cases. Let me say this, though, from the outset. We have done a deep analysis of his opinions. Harry, quickly here, summarizing his style, his originalist, he's a textualist. What do we know about Judge Gorsuch, soon to be Justice Gorsuch, from his writings?
First and foremost, Jay, he puts the individual citizen's interest ahead of judicial preferences. And so even tonight, he talked about Congress writing the law, not the judges. Why is that important? Members of Congress are elected. They can be held accountable. In addition, He has suggested in one opinion that unelected bureaucrats do not get the opportunity to write the law. He's emphasized, for instance, in a 2015 case, the Nichols case, the non-delegation principle. It's a structural safeguard that protects individual citizens from unelected bureaucrats.
We have a lot more ahead on the nomination of Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court of the United States. If you're concerned about the issue of life, if you're concerned about religious liberty, if you're concerned about the separation of powers in our constitutional republic, we need your help. We've got a petition up right now. Believe me, the left is mobilizing. We have to mobilize as well. ACLJ.org. That's ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255. ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255 to add your name now.
President Trump has fulfilled an important campaign promise to appoint a conservative nominee to the Supreme Court in the mold of the late Justice Antonin Scalia. President Trump has kept his promise by naming Judge Neil Gorsuch of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit to replace Justice Scalia. Judge Gorsuch is immensely qualified. He has a proven constitutional conservative record, but the left has begun a scorched earth campaign to defeat him. They don't want a proven conservative on the court. They will stop at nothing. The American Center for Law and Justice is mobilizing on Capitol Hill, demanding Judge Gorsuch's immediate confirmation. Stand with us in this critical fight. Sign on to our petition to confirm Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255 or add your name online, aclj.org.
Welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. We're taking you back to the studio the very moment that President of the United States, Donald Trump, announced Neil Gorsuch to be the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Harry, mainstream is what they'll say. Is he judicially in the mainstream? You've read every opinion he's written. You've read a lot of the articles he's written. What's your sense?
Absolutely in the mainstream. He's a brilliant judge. He's an originalist. He's committed to the Constitution. He's also committed to diminishing the power of unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that the Democrats fear the most.
Yep.
So many of the rules passed by the Obama administration were passed through unelected actions taken by bureaucrats.
All right, let's go ahead and take Demarius. Demarius, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, gentlemen. I just love the fact that you guys take the time to talk to us. I will watch whatever you guys put out.
Great, thanks.
To my question, do you think that Democrats are really hurting themselves by not voting for President Trump's nominees' picks and all that?
Well, I think they're making themselves look like Damaris, first of all, I appreciate you calling it. First of all, they're making themselves look like fools right now with the questioning, the way they're asking these questions, these Senate hearings. And they're going to go up against Judge Gorsuch, a Supreme Court nominee, a 10th Circuit judge. Look, I mean, I argue cases in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. There's no questions they're throwing at you here in these Senate confirmation hearings that Judge Gorsuch is not going to be able to handle. The question's going to be, Jordan, are they going to get so much, like we just saw with Neil Cattell, does that hurt them so much that they can't afford the filibuster? Because I'm watching some of the response, and you're right, they're a little bit tepid.
For 10 senators, they can't afford it. I don't think they can. If they want to be reelected in 2018, it'd be very dangerous for them to join a filibuster that will likely fail, but they will be tarnished with an ads in just a year and a half from now. It will be very dangerous from them. So I think that's why Chuck Schumer's got an uphill battle, not against Republicans, but with 10 of his own Democrat senators who are facing reelection in 2018. Those ads start running in a year and a half. And if they are the ones who were obstructing President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court with these great credentials, yeah, they're in trouble. That's how it hurts Democrats. Now, if you're coming from the liberal states, the dark blue states, no, you can be as liberal as you want on this. You can vote no. You can be obstructionist. It's not going to hurt you. But that's not where the politics is played. Politics is played with those who represent the states that are in the middle.
Well, that's just the fact of the matter. All right, let's go ahead and take another call. Let's go to Martha, who's calling from Florida on line 6. Hi, Martha.
Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you all for everything that you do. Because I think the last time that the Republicans had the presidency in both houses of Congress, instead of standing on conservative principles, they caved. So it's refreshing because I know y'all have a lot of influence in what's going on. But the comment I wanted to make was, according to Chuck Schumer, I think it was earlier today, he made the comment that they would not confirm anyone who did not share their partisan values.
Yeah, I mean, basically it means if they're pro-life, they're not going to confirm them. But I'll tell you this, Martha, they've got a really tough road here. Doesn't mean they won't try it, by the way. I think they might try it. They'll at least start the process of trying it. I'm not sure it gets them anywhere. Jordan's reviewing some of the comments that are coming in right now. But, Harry, from a legal scholar's perspective, and that's what they're saying, some legal scholars are concerned about this nomination, they really have got a difficult task ahead with Judge Gorsuch, trying to discredit his rulings or the way in which he interprets the Constitution.
Absolutely. And one of the things they fear the most is his ability to cut through illogical, progressive, ideological argumentation and cut to the core, like he did in Planned Parenthood v. Utah. He also did a fantastic job in American Atheists versus Davenport. Basically, the ideologues, and I think Jordan is correct on this, from New York and from California, they will absolutely hate this appointment. On the other hand, Democrats in red states will face a backlash if they oppose this nominee, who is eminently well qualified.
That's going to do it for the broadcast this week, folks, but obviously the fight for Judge Gorsuch continues. Again, if you're concerned about the issue of life, if you're concerned about religious liberty, we need your help. Sign that petition supporting Judge Gorsuch, calling for an immediate hearing and vote, aclj.org. That's aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255. aclj.org or 877-989-2255. We'll talk to you next week.
President Trump has fulfilled an important campaign promise to appoint a conservative nominee to the Supreme Court in the mold of the late Justice Antonin Scalia. President Trump has kept his promise by naming Judge Neil Gorsuch of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit to replace Justice Scalia. Judge Gorsuch is immensely qualified. He has a proven constitutional conservative record, but the left has begun a scorched earth campaign to defeat him. They don't want a proven conservative on the court. They will stop at nothing. The American Center for Law and Justice is mobilizing on Capitol Hill, demanding Judge Gorsuch's immediate confirmation. Stand with us in this critical fight. Sign on to our petition to confirm Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255 or add your name online, aclj.org.